Right. Well, our first speaker tonight can tell you all about referendums and initiatives because this is a subject matter that we definitely have been trying to address in the state of Arizona for, I don't know, 3, 4 cycles now. And we've come very close and we've gotten the signatures, and then we find that we have, little bumps in the road that has a tendency to knock us off. So anyway, tonight our speaker is Terry Goddard. I don't know that many people need to know who he is. Many of you remember him from his time as a Phoenix mayor, his time as the state attorney general, and of course his run for governor back in, what was it, 2008 or 10?
10.
10. Yeah. And boy, would the world look different if Terry would have won that race. So
Thank you.
anyway, comes from a long history of public service. And so tonight, Terry Goddard is going to speak to us on, again, the disclosure of dark money, all this money that comes into us from elections with no understanding of who's providing it. And so, Terry, please take it away and tell us how important it is for us as people to rise up and get these signatures.
Well, thank you so much for that gracious introduction and for having a chance to speak with you for a few minutes this evening. You basically said it all in both your discussion of the referenda and that nice introduction. We've got a critical issue here, and the only way it's going to come before the voters of Arizona is if we do it. If we sign the petitions and get them filed and put it on the ballot. And as you also mentioned, and my gratitude to the folks in this audience, and I know it's most of you, who have helped before. This is the third time that we've tried to stop anonymous cash in Arizona politics. And I feel optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that this time we'll be able to get what we need. And I've got a couple of reasons for feeling that optimism. One is so many volunteers are helping. And they've produced a good number already of signatures for the Stop Dark Money initiative. And by good number, I mean this last weekend we hit 60,000 signatures. It's a big number, but by next July we have to get 300,000 in order to qualify for the ballot and have the necessary extra buffer. To make sure that we survive the challenges. You put it so well. It's inevitable that they will come, and we have to be ready. Now, I don't want to take away for a minute from the 6 referenda that are also gathering signatures right now. They have a deadline of the 28th of this month, which is right around the corner as these things go. And so I hope you'll sign those 6, and I hope you'll sign Stop Dark Money as you're doing it. And in most every place that we have these available around the state of Arizona, all 7 are there, plus a healthcare initiative. There may be as many as 8 places to sign. That's a big, big ask for people throughout the state, but it allows us to get to take back our government. In point of fact, I mean, we've been run roughshod over on voting rights, on educational funding, and on a state government that gives undue deference to those merchants of darkness, those folks who try to run campaigns without ever admitting that they're involved. That's what dark money is all about. And if you'll give me just a minute, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, that most of you already know exactly what is happening with dark money and why it's a problem. But just in case there are a few that don't, let me just say that what this initiative does, and it's all stated in the first paragraph, it gives the voters of Arizona the right to know the original source of all funds spent to influence our votes. And that says it all. That basically is the opening sentence and the bottom line of what we're trying to do here, is give Arizona voters the right to know who it is that's trying to persuade them to vote one way or the other, both on candidate elections and in propositions. And I think if we do that, we become better armed as voters. Actually, it makes our vote make more of a difference, because we can evaluate who the messenger is and therefore you can then evaluate the message more accurately. Unfortunately, right now in Arizona, we don't have that right. In fact, just the opposite. Arizona legislature, the majority there has bent over backwards to placate the dark money interests. It is easier to spend money anonymously to try to influence an election in Arizona than in any other state. What it says in Arizona law is if you're in good standing with the Internal Revenue Service, Lord knows what that means. There is no such definition of good standing with the IRS. I guess it means you're not currently under indictment. But if you're in good standing with the IRS and you have one of these advocacy nonprofits, the 501c4s, which don't require disclosure of their contributors, under Arizona law, you don't have to do anything. You can just start spending money. You don't have to tell anybody who you are or what you're doing. There is no disclosure. PACs have disclosure. Individual candidates have disclosure. It's weak, but they have disclosure. But if you're a C4, if you're one of these anonymous corporations, you don't have to do a thing except spend money and try to influence elections. That's just wrong. And it's wrong on a bipartisan basis. I mean, both Republicans, Democrats, and everything in between, if they feel they can get an advantage, will use secret money. But that secret money, I think, pollutes our entire process, because how as a voter can you believe that you're casting a knowledgeable vote if you don't have the slightest idea who it is that's urging you to do one thing or the other? And we in Arizona, especially central Arizona, know the penalty that has been exacted by the dark money. Back in 2014, as I'm sure it's painful to remember, but that was an election where a certain power company, whose initials you may recognize, there's an A and there's a P and there's an S in their name, they decided that they wanted to get a compliant corporation commission, the group that regulates them and declares whether or not they can have rate increases. So they ran two people in the Republican primary that they supported, but they supported them secretly so that all the money that went to support those candidates had names, nonsense names from nonprofits. One of them was the Arizona Free Enterprise Club. Another one was called the Association. Uh-oh. I wish I could say that APS cut off my power and that's why I'm not still, or I wasn't still with you, but I missed the little message that said my battery was about to expire. So my profound apologies. Can I continue, or are you all done with my time?
No, continue.
Go ahead.
Continue. I think we still have about 2 minutes, and then I do see a couple of questions in the chat. So
Terrific. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Well, I was just finishing the story of 2014, and the bottom line, as I'm sure you know, is that the secret funds allowed their chosen candidates to get through the Republican primary and then to beat Sandra Kennedy and the other Democrat in the general. And then 5 years later, because Sandra, a courageous woman, went back on the commission, we finally found out that it was almost $13 million that they had spent secretly to elect those two commissioners, who turned around and voted for a $95 million a year price increase or rate increase at the commission. So that's why it costs us so much. And frankly, it's got to stop. I think the credibility of our elections is being challenged in many ways. But here's one aspect that I believe has actual merit, and that is voters can say with real sincerity right now that in Arizona, they don't know the reason that they're voting one way or the other because they can't evaluate the source. And what this proposition does, if we can get the 300,000 signatures, is to allow Arizona voters to evaluate the source of the money and then to make their own decision. That's what this is all about. So we need your help. Hopefully you can get signatures along with the referenda. But I don't want to take away for a minute getting those referenda in. That's the number one democratic activity we can do right now. But please remember that although we've got a longer time frame than the referenda, an initiative needs twice as many signatures. And so that's something that is going to be a lot of work as we go forward. I feel good about having 60,000 in the bank, but we need, we're only 1/5 of the way there to our goal. So thank you so much for the time. We also have many of the same depots that are availing themselves to get referenda signatures. And so just sign the dark money while you're at it, or grab one and circulate it yourself. That's the best thing somebody can do to help us out.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I do have one question in the chat that I've seen. Somebody is asking, has there been any legal challenge to this particular effort that we're undertaking, since we've had many different legal challenges in the past?
Well, let me just say very briefly, thank you for the question. And yes, we've had challenges. That's why we're on the third time to try to get this on the ballot. The first one, I believe we had enough signatures, but we were challenged by a group called Americans for Prosperity. You probably heard of them. They were the Koch brothers operation that runs dark money campaigns all across America. And they spent a huge amount of money checking our signatures. And they had one, I consider it a legal loophole, but it was something that they were able to sell the court and then the Supreme Court on, which was that some of our paid petition passers did not show up when they were subpoenaed. Well, we didn't know they'd been subpoenaed. They didn't know they were subpoenaed. But the bottom line was that their signatures were disqualified. And that's why we slipped below the line. The second time in 2020, it was because of COVID. We frankly made the decision to stop, even though we had 300,000 signatures in the bank. We just didn't want to put people at risk, volunteers at risk, to go forward, and felt we had to stop. Others went forward and made it. I congratulate them, but we didn't feel we could make that extra ask. And so now we're back again. And I can never say that we've avoided all legal pitfalls. As a lawyer, I know that there are creative people out there who will try to find them. And I'm concerned about that, but I'm not overly, because we've had great help in drafting this proposition. It's got a few nuances that I think are even better than the one that we circulated in 2020. And so I think in terms of legal challenge, we're in good shape. Plus, we've got a Washington group, the Campaign Legal Center, who helped us draft this, and it will stand behind us if there are challenges.
That's great. That's great. So thanks, Terry. And as someone has put in the chat, third time is a charm. This time we're going to get it across the finish line.
Well, believe me, I hope third is a charm. And with the help of all of you, we're going to make it. But it's going to take a big push. I have no questions about that. And thank you for the time today. It's very important that we all get together on these exercises in democracy. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, we get the government we deserve, and if we aren't going out and doing anything to deserve it, then you cannot complain. We haven't done what we need to do. So, all right, with that, our next speakers are a tag team, I like to call it. We're going to hear from our two candidates who wish to represent us in the LD17 in the legislature, Jennifer Pollock, who is currently our representative for LD17 in the House, and AJ Kurdoglu, who is running to be our senator in this district. He ran last time, and so he's giving it another opportunity for people to get it right. And so tonight I'm going to have Jennifer and AJ talk about their runs, and I don't know who is going to go first or how they're going to do this, but they have 10 minutes to talk to us about their needs and what they're going to be doing in their races and anything else that's pertinent to their campaign. So Jennifer, AJ, take it away.
Thank you, Carol. I'll go first today. Hello, amazing LD17 Democrats, dear friends. Great to be here with you here tonight. My name is Kurdoglu. You can call me AJ, and I'm running, as Carol said, to be your next state senator. For those of you that I haven't had a pleasure of meeting you yet, a little bit about myself. I'm a longtime Chandler resident, a small business owner here. I'm a proud first-generation American. I arrived Arizona after college to do my graduate degrees at ASU. And after finishing that, I built my home, my business here in East Valley, basically my life. And that is my American dream. That was my American dream. And I believe every Arizonans deserve to have their own American dream, a chance at least, an opportunity to realize their own dream. And that's the reason that I'm running for Arizona State Senate. And my business, and also, as you know, we started canvassing. I heard a lot from our voters, neighbors in this summer. I kept hearing from parents who are worried about their kids' health during COVID. I heard from families, young and established families who are trying to afford a home in Chandler or in Arizona while the prices are skyrocketing. Even rents are going crazy. I heard from a lot of small business owners who are struggling with this economy with COVID's caused ups and downs. And while I'm hearing this stuff, meanwhile, what did your state senator, which I might add, very actively did, and also your current majority? They spend their time with first a fraudulent, never-ending audit of 2020 election. They are trying to add more restriction on reproductive rights. And they reversed your decision, your desire about public school funding issue. They totally reversed that. And I feel like, and I believe you will share that, there is a total and complete disconnect between this current majority, what your state senator is doing, and what you want. But this is what I'm gonna say. You should not fear, because this is not our destiny. We are just one seat away on state legislature, on state Senate and House of Representatives to turn things around. When I win this and flip the seat, I will work my hardest to help small businesses so they can thrive and create good business, good jobs. And I will work my hardest to fund our school properly. So basically, you will have a state legislature that will be working for you, not against you. Here is the issue. This is not a one-man, actually, in our case, two-person job. It is not. We cannot do this alone, just Jennifer and I. We need you. I cannot emphasize how much we need you, your volunteer time with us. We started campaigning. We start canvassing in August. We had a plan. We wanted to hit 800 doors. We did a good job, but we hit only 433 doors. We are already behind. And I want you to know, every door that we knock, it will bring us closer to the brighter future for Arizona. And every door that we miss will take us closer to a state like Texas. And we don't want to do that. So please join to our canvas. And I would like to add this little fun thing. Our canvas here in LD 17, and we started, if I'm not wrong, the very first among all the legislative districts in Arizona to work. So you should be proud of your team 17. But also, it also scaring Republicans. Last weekend, after I mentioned about our canvas on the social media, I got trolled by none other than state Senate president. I don't know if she was trying to intimidate me or trying to make fun of our going doors, but that's where we are. They realize that we are coming. They realize that we are working, and they know that we're gonna flip this district. So please join us. We need you on our canvases. We need you to be with us, to knock on doors. Next one is Sunday. You know how to reach us. Let us know. Thank you. I really appreciate your support.
With that, we're going to move along to our next speaker, and our next speaker is Mark Robert Gordon, who is going to give us a 5-minute update from the Democratic National Committee. Mark?
Hello, LD17 and Monroe. Just so you know, I figured out how to move a square on Zoom. I moved you right next to me, so I'm not going to miss you this time with your upside down times up signal. Okay, and I don't think I'm using all my time today at this point. You'll be relieved. Good to see you, LD17. As Terry Goddard said, and to put it another way, you know, you buy a can of Coca-Cola, you can turn it on its side and see what the ingredients are. We should be able to see what the ingredients of our elections and of the people that we elect and the decisions that they're making, and see if we can match what they are doing with the people that have sponsored them. It's just fairness. And congratulations, AJ, on making the race here. And I'm talking about small business. I thought perhaps you would drop the line that has now become a DNC line. I'll get to that in a second about small business, but good. And thank you, Representative Pollack, for everything that you do at legislature. And yes, it's not just that the buses get stuck in the rural lands for the school system. It's also how they have gone to vote. People who live in those communities, and people have gotten literally stuck in the mud on rainy days. Terry Goddard, in fact, when he ran for governor in 1990, and they had to have a runoff because neither he nor Fife Symington had 50%. The buses in Apache County got stuck in the mud as people were going to vote, and because the polls were so far away. So it's all tied together. Rural funding is important, and paying attention to our rural communities. Speaking of which, it was one reason our rural communities that the DNC's Build Back Together bus paid a visit to Arizona a few weeks ago. National DNC Chair Jamie Harrison, major staff from the DNC were here. Debbie Nez-Manuel, my fellow DNC member, and I joined Arizona State Chair Raquel Tehran at the Gila River Indian community for where the Build Back Together bus was. And it was to tout the contributions of Indian country to the victories that we had here in Arizona in the past election in 2020. The importance of Indian country and rural communities to the fabric of the Democratic Party, making sure that our message is getting heard and getting out to all constituencies. Unfortunately, though we got some work done by having Chair Harrison here, and that Build Back Together bus that you might, yeah, I had it right, that you may have seen on TV. It was good to see that in person. Unfortunately, it was the morning of the Kabul airport bombing. And so the bus tour was canceled right after the speech in Gila River Indian community. We were the 9th or 10th state that the bus had visited, and it was going to be coming back, and it was unfortunate timing because the press didn't cover the event. We at the DNC pulled the press off the coverage per the request of the White House in dealing with that national event. However, talking about what was said when the Build Back Together bus was at GRIC, Gila River Indian community, with us, we were talking about how the D in Democrats stands for deliver. How the Democrats, I see it, Monroe, I see you there. How the Democrats have delivered to 39 million households with middle-class tax cuts. How the Democrats have delivered with supporting the PPP loan extension and making sure that the PUA was continued for people that were still unemployed due to the pandemic, and the relief bills. And those things were all accomplished without a single Republican vote. It's the Democrats, the D, who delivered. Unfortunately, not only was the Build Back Together bus canceled, tour canceled, but the in-person meeting that I spoke about last time was just moved to virtual for the DNC. And it was going to be our first opportunity to pitch Arizona to our fellow DNC members, especially about bringing a national convention here in 24, and that fell away. I put my email address in the website. If I could just have 1 minute of personal privilege here on behalf of the state party and the DNC. Our neighbor to the west, California, has a recall election 1 week from today. They are trying to for the second time in, I forget when Governor Davis was recalled, but it is absurd that they're going after Governor Gavin Newsom. And we've had Californians come to Arizona to help us. In our last several election cycles, I've made several trips to California to recruit volunteers. They have come here to help. They've spent their dollars trying to turn a red state blue and helping us do what we've done. We need to help them over the next week. We need to phone bank to tell people in California to make sure that they support Governor Newsom and that they reject this ridiculous recall effort, and we need to do so in numbers. So we are asking people to join in phone banking over the next week. I put my email address into the chat. Please email me. Tell me that you were at LD17. Tell me what day you're available, and I will get you hooked up. Just a few hours of your time. It's a mail-in voting system. It's very easy to make calls from home. We need your help, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Yes.
I'm done. Get the hook away. Stop it already. Please, please.
Yeah, it's very important on that one particular point, because if Gavin Newsom doesn't get over 50% of the vote, he is out. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's it. So again, we've got to make sure, and we've said this before, Democrats need to vote. They can't just whine and complain. They've got to get the ballot in the box. So anything that you can do to help them out will be greatly appreciated. And don't forget, we need those Senate seats. We need those House seats. We need to make sure we're protecting all of our Democratic candidates, whatever office they hold. So thanks, Mark. Okay, so the next person we have giving us an update is Matt Orlando from the Chandler City Council. And so, Matt, I'm sure there's plenty of things that we need to know about what's happening in Chandler. You've got 5 minutes, and Moreau will let you know when your time is up.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you. Great meeting tonight. So first of all, you know, we've just, the state declared a tier 1 water emergency. Basically, Pinal County will be getting less water for their farmers. The city of Chandler will have an aggressive program, social media, as well as other communications to let our residents know that we are under a tier 1 scenario, and that please conserve as much water as you can. There's also on our website a bunch of activities you could do and to be able to do water. We even have some rebates if you convert from grass to desert landscaping, if you use certain plumbing devices. So again, you know, I do wish, although Chandler's done an outstanding job over the years in water conservation, we definitely still need our citizens' help to keep our precious resource from dwindling. This last few weeks, we had a great briefing, a strategy on our homeless and diversion program. Thanks to the American Recovery Act, we were able to get about $17 million to spend on our homeless, a myriad of programs, to include one of the programs that I'm excited about is a mental health court where we'll actually divert homeless folks that have mental issues, whether it's drug abuse or other activities, to be able to get them support and help as they need. I could get you, there's more information on the website. I only have 5 minutes, but I could probably spend 10 minutes on that, the homeless. And I promise if you need more information on that one, I could reach out to me. We're putting together a Veterans Commission. It's a board and commission. We think it's about time that we recognize our veterans and official board and commission, like we do library and other type of boards and commissions. I'll be looking forward to appointing the next, you know, the mayor and council looking forward to appoint the next individuals to that commission. The other thing is we'll be opening our Veterans Memorial on November 11th, and we'll get more information on that. It's a beautiful, beautiful Veterans Memorial. I've been working on this for 10 years. It's great to see it finally come to fruition for not only the veterans, but the families. It's one of the most unique monuments you'll see in the United States, not only to support our veterans, but the well. Yes, the SRP issue is a typical issue, and I appreciate Representative Pollock's interest and guidance in that. She's been a great job in supporting us here in Chandler. We had several meetings with her over the last week and a half, and I continue to work with the residents on coming up with solutions on how we could solve this dilemma. As you know, that's what I'm all about, is solutions. There's workhorses and there's show horses. I happen to be a workhorse, and I'm proud of it. So with that, I announced this week or last week that I'll be running for my 6th term on Chandler City Council. Thank you. It has been a fulfilling 4 years, and I'll reach out to the leadership team to get me a little bit more time to explain who am I, or who am I, and why I'm running again, and some of the issues that are facing our community. But I will say this real quick, Monroe, keep me honest here, buddy. I will say this: we have 2 open seats, and I've talked to a few of you on this phone call right now about potentially running for city council. I want to not only be reelected, but also get some like-minded individuals on this council so we can move our community forward in a progressive manner. So I think once again, Monroe, I get the prize for going under time limit, correct?
Yes, sir. You have a minute remaining.
If there's any questions, I'll take that. How's that?
Yeah, we've got a couple for you, Matt.
Go ahead.
A question is there a specific website for water conservation assistance that you could put in the chat? If you
I don't have it with me, but if you go to the city webpage, chandleraz.gov, there's a myriad of different issues there that you could click on the link. If I still got, I'll try to find it for you, and I'll put in the link for you if I do find it before we sign off tonight.
And then another question is with the water, in regards to water, what is the city doing to address HOAs, such as in Ocotillo, that require grass lawns?
Suzanne, thank you very much. You're a sweetheart. I agree 100%. I did talk to the president, Wally Brown, of the HOA this year, and they will not be overseeding. And that's something the city will be reaching out to other communities, HOAs. We did this back in 2004 and 5, and I'm dating myself, but we did this earlier, and we've actually asked the HOAs not to overseed. Now, there's 2 things driving that, obviously. One is the water issue, but number 2, ryegrass has gone up so dramatically over the last year that it's more expensive probably to put the ryegrass in than actual water being used, because we do recycled water in Ocotillo. So look for more information on that from the Ocotillo boards as well as the other communities. So we're taking a proactive approach to city and contacting the HOAs to ask them to consider not overseeding this year.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And I think there are a couple of things that have been added in the chat about websites, so people might look there as well.
I love this team on this phone call, Carol.
Well, we try and support our elected. So, all right. Thanks, Matt, so much. Really appreciate the update. So moving on now, we're going to go back to AJ, who has been our conduit to the IRC actions that are going on. And for most of you, if you don't know what IRC, it's the Independent Redistricting Commission. And AJ will fill you in on what that means, where we are in the process, and the things that you as a constituent, as a voter here in Arizona, needs to pay attention to. So AJ?
Thank you, Carol. Hello again. I'm following Independent Redistricting Commission, so you don't have to. Well, what happened since last month? Redistricting Commission, as I mentioned, they were doing a public hearings about communities of interest. And the very last meeting was in East Valley in Mesa. I attended that. More than a couple of hundred people came over. The meeting lasted 4 hours. I must say there was more Republicans than Democrats out there. So we got to pay more attention to this issue. And the commission analyzed and they put together all the responses in their website. More than 950 people submitted their opinions about communities of interest. So you can go check that. And as you know, census data is in. It came in August, mid-August. So mappers have that information. So they are working on it. Next week, we are expecting to have the grid maps. Grid maps is basically, in the legislative district case, they're going to divide with straight lines Arizona into 30 different districts, just paying attention to the equal populations. And then they're going to change this grid maps by adding the 5 other criteria that we have in our redistricting commission's bylines, I should say. So then we're going to have the draft maps. The commission, after the grid maps, which will be announced next week, they're going to have 5 more public hearings. Everything about them to be determined. We don't know when and how, but they're going to have that. And right now, they have a web portal which will start, I believe, next week as well. They want you, the public, use that portal and submit your own maps, however you want to see the district. So that's another chance to close the gap that we have with Republicans. And so next week is the grid maps. We're expecting 3rd week of October, the first round of draft maps, which will give us a pretty good idea where we're going to end up with this stuff. But after that, we're going to have a month-long period where they will accept more public input about the draft maps, and they will change as well. So following that, we're hoping end of the year or first part of January, we will have the final maps. As you all know, this is a very, very important stuff. The districts, the maps are important. It will affect our next 10 years in Arizona. So thank you very much for your attention. The more information I get, I will share it with you on the social media.
Okay, thank you, AJ. Appreciate it. Yes, and if you have any questions about redistricting, please contact AJ. And as Jennifer has just put into the chat box, tomorrow evening, okay, Wednesday evening, I shouldn't say evening, it's from 4 to 5:30. We will be shown the precinct redistricting that is currently under discussion. And that happens again due to the situation of the census and what's happening. It has nothing to do with district lines. It is about the precincts. And I can tell you this, if you live on the lower part of LD 17, you're going to want to pay attention to it because that's where the changes are going on. The map is already posted. You can go up and look at it, but all the changes to precincts are going to be in the middle on down to the bottom part of LD 17. So again, if you live in those areas, you should tune in to make sure, you have to register on the site that Jennifer gave, and then make sure that you get the Zoom meeting. I'm going to be on to listen to what they have to say, and I think you should be too. More grave concern to me, and I don't know if Jennifer and AJ feel the same way, is again, we've got to be careful of how they're going to pack some of these precincts with the multi-unit dwellings that we have so many of coming into our territory, because as you know, that makes it very difficult to canvass and outreach to voters. And from what I can see, it looks like some of them are getting packed with those multi-units. So if you live in the area, please pay attention and make comment, listen to what's going on in District 1, which is your supervisor district, and make sure you register for that Zoom meeting from 4 to 5:30. Okay? All right, and last, I would like to introduce, and I think I saw Lauren was on. I want to introduce Lauren Kuby. This is a lady I have known almost forever. She has been helpful to me when I was a chair of LD 17. She is a current council person for the city of Tempe, actually serves as vice mayor for Tempe, and has been a long champion for sustainability and our environment. She works at the ASU Division of Sustainability, and so she is running along with Sandra Kennedy for the 2 spots on the Corporation Commission that will be up in 2022. So a warm welcome to a good friend of mine, Lauren Kuby.
Thank you so much, Carol. I think you're one of the first people that donated a $5 qualifying contribution in edition. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for allowing me to be here today. You shaved off some of my time, Carol, so I'll go real fast. But yeah, and I'm also a sustainability scientist at Arizona State University, where I focused on a lot of water and energy issues and water energy nexus issues as part of the academic work I do. And leading Stardust Center for Affordable Homes of the Family, I focus on family stressors, including housing, transportation, energy, utilities. And so I think all of those qualifications make me a really good candidate for Corporation Commission. So I think this is a well-versed crowd, and you probably know what the commission does, but just in case, that Corporation Commission was created by the Arizona Constitution in 1912. And it explicitly mentioned that the corporation commissioners had to be elected, not appointed by the governor. And you never guess why. They were worried that their railroad lobbyists at the time, because the corporation also regulates the railroads. They were worried that the railroad lobbyists would dominate and make decisions about who should be on that commission. So it's very interesting because right now we see the legislature trying to weaken the powers of the commission and take away some of their authority. So our founders actually had some wisdom there in making an elected position. We are one of only 14 states where there's an elected commission. Now, you probably know that sometimes you hear the Corporation Commission referred to as the Corruption Commission. There have been not just charges, but lots of untoward actions. I would say the utilities have generally handpicked the commissioners that they want to regulate them, and this isn't okay. We saw in 2014, Sandra Kennedy, they spent $14 million, mostly Pinnacle West, spent $14 million to defeat her. And she came roaring back in 2018 and won re-election. And she and I are running together. It's going to be Kennedy and Kuby for CorpCom. We have a nice alliteration there. You're going to see our signs are together. We're going to have a joint logo. We're going to have joint literature. We're all about one for all and all for one, because I believe that we are a dynamic democratic duo and that we're both fierce consumer advocates, and we'll fight to protect the ratepayers, and we'll fight for fair rates. Now, it was maybe not a surprise to you that we have lower renewable energy adoption in our state than surrounding states, but it might surprise you to know that the electric bills are actually lower in other states. Our bills are higher. So you've heard that old yarn that somehow renewable energy is more expensive. That this is not true. It's no longer true. The cost of coal is obviously so high, and that the health effects of coal and gas power plants are really detrimental to a person's health and to community health. So I believe that renewable energy is in our future, that by re-electing Sandra, and electing myself, and then joining Anna Tovar in the commission, we will have 3 Democratic women that will change the future of energy in our state. And it's not just electricity. It's about regulating gas utilities and water utilities. There's over 200 utility monopolies across the state. And a lot of those utility monopolies are not as up to date in their irrigation and water saving technology as a lot of our cities are. Good job, Chandler, you're really leading the way there. So it's important to know that this is a complex role. It's sometimes quasi-judicial. It's untoward, I believe, to go out fundraising for the Corporation Commission. Sandra and I are both running as clean candidates. And I'm just going to put this little pitch on, but you all know about how to get onto the eQual site, but this will direct you there as well into Sandra's. But if you just go to laurenkuby.com and /sign or laurenkuby.com/5, you can donate 1 qualifying $5 contribution. I need 1,800. I think I'm at 429. I was at a petition event tonight. I think I'm at 1,300 signatures, but I have to get about 10,000 signatures. It's kind of a lift. I need to get on the ballot, and I am determined to get on the ballot on January 2nd, the first day I can apply. And if any of you are going to see Hamilton in the next month, I'm going to be out there wearing a sandwich board with Hamilton quotes that apply to energy. And I'll be collecting signatures there as well, because I love retail politics. And I love being at the Coconino County Fair yesterday and meeting the voters and meeting a gentleman from the Hopi Reservation and learning so much about how they view water and how they view energy, and how I'm going to be the first candidate to have my website translated not just into Spanish, but into Diné and into the Hopi language and other languages of our tribal nations. So there's a lot of work to be done at the commission. We have to rid the commission of a lot of corruption. We need to think critically and ask those questions that, those $1,000 an hour paid lawyers try to bamboozle the commission, and sometimes it works, but not on my watch. I will bring the resources of the community and of ASU and NAU and U of A and the amazing research that we are doing in energy and water. I'll bring that to bear on the commission and the work I do. Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Thanks, Lauren. Thank you so much. And yes, you can get on the Equal side under the Secretary of State for Arizona's and sign Lauren's petition, and you can do a same thing for Sandra Kennedy and give $5 donations. So, normally if we were meeting in person, you would do it with her in person, but this is the other opportunity. I do have paper petitions for Lauren, so if you like that idea of signing a paper petition, contact me. I think I put my contact information in the chat. I will come and collect your signature. So we need women on the Corporation Commission, and it's great to have Lauren and Sandra both working there hard for us. So thanks. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you so much. I'm hopping off to go on to LD 28 now. So thank you.
All right. Say hello. Say hello.
Bye.
That's the nice thing about Zoom. Yeah, good luck. Thank you, everyone. Great meeting today. And I will go ahead and AJ, you have something? Oh, yeah. I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I move to adjourn.
Helen, and I need a second, please.
A second.
And that's Weldon, thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All is opposed. So, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Good job, Eric. Good job.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Eric. That was great.
Very good
I only
job.
had one
you.
serious big screw up, right? So,
Great job, Eric.
yeah, we'll all see you around, all right?
All right.
Everyone, God bless. Have a great week. Take care now.
All
Good night,
right.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Stay